This week in the world of news from books, beards, and brews. All right. As always, I am Bob who tells by Bob.
I'm the ass of the podcast, Derek.
I brain farted. Creative consultant Tanya. I'm hungry.
Golly. So we're recording today live from Joshington Studios.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're mobile today. We have all our microphones suctioned onto a piece of wood.
That's great.
I'm lounge singing.
Yeah, Derek's over there lounge singing.
Super fancy.
But it's just crazy weekend. We had and Derek's got to be up early for work in the morning. So we'll bring the studio to Derek so he doesn't have to drive to middle of nowhere where I live.
Which is good because I actually completely forgot we were doing this today until
yesterday.
Yeah.
So
while I was in bed.
I think the sound quality should be just fine. But if you notice anything a little wonky, we're not in our normal recording space. It may be a little more echoey, perhaps. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. But
it'll be fine.
But anyway, so this is Poetry Month. And we said that for Poetry Month, we were going to read y'all some bitchin' poems.
Bitch.
So we're going to start out the month with me reading my favorite poem of all time. Starting out with a bang. It's all downhill from here.
Great.
All right, and actually, I'm not going to read you the entire poem because the entire poem is kind of long. It's 9 stanzas, but most people think this poem only has 3 stanzas anyway. So, because
care to elaborate?
The first 3 get shared around a lot, but the other 6
So
don't.
it's kind of like the Star Spangled Banner that no one really realizes there's a whole second part.
There's a second part of the Star Spangled Banner?
I think so. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that correctly.
Okay.
There's some shit where is Amazing Grace? I don't know. They're the same.
They're definitely not.
Tanya.
But, wow. Note to self, feed her before recording.
I'm so hungry.
Oh my God.
All right, so here we go. So this poem is Ode by Arthur O'Shaughnessy. It was first published in 1873. We're the music makers, and we're the dreamers of dreams, wandering by lone sea breakers and sitting by desolate streams. World losers and world forsakers, on whom the pale moon gleams. We are the movers and shakers of the world forever, it seems. With wonderful deathless ditties, we build up the world's great cities, and out of a fabulous story, we fashion an empire's glory. One man with a dream at pleasure shall go forth and conquer a crown, and 3 with a new song's measure can trample a kingdom down. We, in the ages lying, in the buried past of the earth, built Nineveh with our singing, and Babel itself in our mirth, and o'erthrew them with prophesying to the old of the new world's worth, for each is a dream that is dying, or one that is coming to birth. So, a couple fun little facts about this poem.
I was gonna
The phrase. This is where we get.
Snap.
This is where we get the phrase "movers and shakers" from.
Really?
Yep, that's the origin of that phrase. And so, in the feature film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, after Willy Wonka, played by the amazing Gene Wilder, states that the snozberries taste like snozberries, Veruca Salt responds in an arrogant tone, "Snozberries? Who's ever heard of a snozberry?" Willy Wonka grabs her cheeks, pulls her face towards him, and gently replies, "We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams." So, there you go.
Snozberries, wasn't that like a dick joke?
What?
What is she even on about today?
I swear to God, that's
Tanya,
like an
what
urban
is-
legend where she licks the wallpaper. And
What in the hell are you talking about?
Willy Wonka. They had the flavored wallpaper, and she's like licking the wallpaper, and she says like, "This tastes like this," or Willy Wonka's telling her to lick a something another, and it tastes like a whatever, and like the internet's like, "Bruh, he was talking about dicks."
Wow.
And he was trying to. That I swear to God, I'm not making that up because I'm hungry. That's a real thing. That's a real conspiracy.
She's hungry for something else, apparently. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
what. To calm down.
Funny you should say that because this is our news episode, and my first headline is Cthulhu.
Oh, dicks. Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I see the tie-in.
Except the actual content doesn't really tie into that. But okay. Well, Cthulhu. So all right. So the Sons of the Singularity, which is a small publishing group. And not a really cool cyberpunk biker gang. Because Sons of the Singularity, wouldn't that be an awesome bike gang for like a cyberpunk setting? Yeah. Anyway, Random Investor Ryan, write that down. So they ran a Kickstarter last year for a Call of Cthulhu source book. Raised like 20 grand for it, and once you got to like 22 grand, that enabled them to do a print run of it. Like they were just trying to get enough to where they could hire like art. They're going to do PDF, but they raised enough to do a print run. Cool.
Sweet.
So they it's called the Sassoon Files. It's set in like 1920s Shanghai. Well, that's a touchy subject with China, and these were getting printed in China. So a government official saw it and was like, "Oh, cool,
nah, bruh.
Yeah, burn them all," and had the entire run destroyed.
Yikes!
Yeah. So demanded that every copy be destroyed within 24 hours. Cool thing, though, apparently by Chinese law, when the government does something like that, you get reimbursed. Like if they like destroy, like you get.
If they decide that you can't do that thing, but you know.
Yeah, I think maybe China. Anyway, the company is getting their money back.
You think? I like how he went from this is a cool thing they do.
Well,
but maybe they don't do it. I don't know.
Here's
They're
the
getting
thing.
money. I don't know.
I don't know how reputable the source was. It was saying, like, I know they're getting their money back. I don't know if it's like the government giving the money back, if it's the warehouse, the printer giving the money back. All I know is they're getting their money back as like, hey, sorry we censored you. Yay. But someone made this excellent point. If you're the fucking RPG Cthulhu company that literally your entire press run got burned, got censored by the government, that is like the best.
That's the best press you could ask for.
Thing that you could ask for.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
Just like because they're going to get it published by someone else, so then they could be like the entire first run that the government didn't want you to see.
But it's the Chinese government.
Well,
they don't want you to see anything except big old anime titties.
Well, that's
about
definitely
it.
Japan.
That's racist.
Oh, I'm so hungry.
Okay, after this, we might need to take a break or do something. I mean, I don't even know.
I'm fucking this all up. I'm so sorry.
Well, speaking of
being the worst,
fucking king up. Emphasis on the K. I'm going for the emphasis on the K.
I was like, wow, am I just magically segueing again? But no.
Well, kind of. Well, all right. So, did you know that Dr. Pepper and Keurig are like a company?
What? Keurig?
Yeah.
As in the coffee?
Yeah. Like
no, the
Pepper.
other Keurig.
Yeah, no, it's...
Hey, I've been fucking things up. I needed to make sure.
Keurig Dr. Pepper Inc.
Well, I thought it was like 7-Up, Schweppes, and Dr. Pepper.
Well, who drinks 7-Up for real?
I do,
well,
but only
I would if it was around.
Only cherry 7-Up. Cherry 7-Up's the shit.
I can see that. I fuck with the cherry Sprite all day.
Oh, those are good too. Yeah,
do you have the down here in Alabama? Do you get the cranberry Sierra Mist, the seasonal?
I don't remember if we get cranberry Sierra
pretty sure
Mist.
I've seen it.
I know we get cranberry Sprite.
Sierra Mist is like
the cranberry Sierra Mists are mad good,
Sierra
and you
Mist
need to
is
check
trash.
Chickadee check yourself.
So there used to be
friend.
this awesome vending machine in New Mexico where I went to school, and it was the only place I had ever seen cherry 7-Up ever.
Yeah, I can fuck with that all day.
It was a magical place of hope and wonder, and I spent so much. Exactly, I spent so much. Like my every day for either lunch or recess, I was getting me one of those cherry 7-Ups, and if something happened and I didn't get my cherry 7-Up,
day was ruined.
Day was ruined.
About to be heads up 7-Up,
right?
Bitch.
And then we came, and then I moved here, and I couldn't find it forever. And they still like now they started doing it, but they like. It's not as good as it used to be because now they've changed like antioxidants and like all this. It's like nah, bro.
I don't want my soda healthy.
Give me that cherry in my 7-Up, and that that was probably my favorite drink I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, they're delicious.
What's the best? I'm not going to even ask y'all. 7-Up is the best of the sodas like that. Hands down. Glass bottle 7-Up. Or not 7-Up, Sundrop. Glass bottle Sundrop is what I'm going to
Gross.
say.
What?
Glass bottle Sundrop. Go
That's
fuck
like a
yourselves.
watered down mellow yellow doo-doo.
Oh, y'all can go fuck
You've never had
yourselves.
ski either. None of y'all have had ski. It's real good.
That's because ski isn't real.
Have you had ski?
No.
Who the fuck do you think you're talking to?
I didn't know.
Tighten up, Tanya.
With its orangey lime deliciousness, I love ski. Someone buy me a case of ski
All right,
and
we're
mail
way
it.
off topic. Except that we're not, because so get this. So Keurig Dr. Pepper
Oh, yeah.
and Anheuser-Busch, InBev, are moving forward with a plan to launch a home bar pod system.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I think
wait,
I mean.
hold
In
on.
partner with a thing called DrinkWorks. It's rolling out in 3 states, Missouri, Florida, and then California in 2020. But the DrinkWorks machine works by using liquid-filled pods to prepare cocktails, brews, and ciders with a touch of a button, just like coffee. Each pod contains a shot of alcohol along with its flavorings and is infused with either water or carbonation to serve up drinks such as a Moscow Mule, an old-fashioned, or beer.
This is dangerous
It
because
is.
this.
Well, it's not too dangerous because let's get to the price.
Okay, that's
Where it gets less
I was just gonna say
dangerous.
is yeah, but see, my thing is if this becomes a thing, and eventually they like.
Yeah. Oh well, no. It's just it's. Yes, I would buy one of these in a heartbeat. But I wouldn't go crazy. But anyway, so the companies say that its drink portfolio already includes 24 different recipes. Didn't list what they were, but the machine on pre-order is $299.
So $300.
Yes. A 4-pack of pods. What do you think? Just a guess.
$40.
Oh, God, no.
I was thinking bar prices, $10 a
20,
drink.
$15.99. So not terrible, but not so cheap. I mean, it's like $4 a pod.
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on, like, it wouldn't be an everyday drink, but if you occasionally want an old-fashioned a week, it would be worth it. But if it's going to be something like, I want to have 2 or 3 of these a night, not worth it. You're better
Yeah.
off just buying the materials to make it yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
My point is just I'm never gonna make a cocktail
Yeah.
because I just don't care. It's too much work. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But you give me this opportunity,
Yeah.
so that every once in a while I can just.
Are they
something
all
in
going to
there.
be hot? Like a Keurig? Is it all hot drinks? No, you said
None of the-
you said carbonated thing.
Yeah, none of these
Well,
are hot.
okay. Well,
drinks.
when you said Keurig, I'm thinking about like hot coffee, hot chocolate.
Well, it's not.
You're
It's not.
hot
It's not.
mess.
It's not a.
Hot mess.
It's not a Keurig.
But it's like a Keurig.
It's like a Keurig, but it's not a Keurig. It's its own machine.
I don't know. Okay.
I think
It's a new. They're having to make a new machine for
Okay.
this.
Okay.
But so here was they just tacked this on at the end of the article, which to me it's far cooler. So French spirits maker Pernod Ricard SA said it's planning to launch its own home bartending assistant this year called OPN that dispenses spirits such as Absolute Vodka and Jameson whiskey from flasks shaped like books in a library.
Ooh. I want that.
Yeah.
We should get that.
Yeah.
We should get them
Yeah,
to
'cause
sponsor us.
That
and they'll
sounds
give us
exactly like our speed.
because that'll be cheaper than the $300.
Oh, right.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is there a young hoodlum?
There
in your
is. I
street
keep
There's
waiting for that
riding
child
a
to like
four-wheeler through the.
bust his face.
This is nothing out of the. Don't even bother
Okay,
looking outside.
I was
This
just
is
making sure I was seeing that correctly. He was
every day.
okay. Cool.
Every
We
day.
missed.
Every
Oh,
day,
actually,
son.
Tony, you being so hungry, the ice cream truck literally
Yeah, you
drove
missed
by.
it.
Kill me. Everyone, kill me now.
It drove by.
I'm so hungry.
10 minutes before you got here.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Made
When
the-
I was
made
sitting
the
in
noise and
traffic,
everything.
love all that.
Yeah.
Bob was like, "What's that? What's that glorious sound that I
Yeah.
can't capitalize on?" I was like, "It's the ice cream truck."
Yeah. Yep,
So
and
we
it
don't
actually
get that in the
stopped
ghetto.
2 doors down.
Yeah, they
don't-
stopped right over there.
Yeah.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
So, this headline is called "The Lion, the Fanfic, and the Wardrobe."
Ooh.
Okay. So Francis Spufford has taken a break from writing award-winning adult literature to fill in the details of exactly what went on in Narnia before The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So basically, this guy who is an author, like
Yeah.
this is what he does. He spent a couple years writing what is effectively a fan fiction novel.
Seems legit.
He's a huge Narnia fan, and he wrote it to be in the style of C.S. Lewis, and he wrote it in how did he put it? He says the series is finished as it stands, but there's a gap in the history of Narnia between the Magician's Nephew and the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That was the only gap I thought was large enough for someone to do some impertinent fiddling. The Stone Table, as it's called, follows Polly Plummer and Diggory Kirk, who watched Aslan sing Narnia into being the Magician's Nephew as they returned to Narnia. He said he was cautious in giving clues as to what happens in the adventure, but the novel explains why there are 4 empty thrones in the castle of Cair Paravel and where the Stone Table came from.
Neat.
So they talking about it, they were like, some of the articles I read is like, I don't think this guy's ever heard of fan fiction, because like he's talking about like this is fan fiction.
Yeah,
that's what this is.
Yeah.
And he's talking like it's not fan fiction.
It's
But
just high quality fan fiction.
yeah, it's really so. Apparently, he reached out to the Lewis estate and was like, "Hey, we publishing this," and didn't get response back.
Shocked.
So he just printed up like 75 copies of it and gave it around to folks. And people,
Like fanfic.
yeah, people are fucking like they shared like the first 2 chapters online, and people just fucking apparently love it. Apparently, it reads similar, like it's really really good. So, but he's basically like, look, I'm going to publish it either now or, let's see, when can he publish it? 15 years from now, he can in the UK, because that's when the copyright runs out in the UK. 11 years after that, he could publish it in the US.
So 26 years from now, he could publish in the U.S.
Yeah.
15 and 11.
But if he only publishes it exclusively in Canada and a couple other countries where it's in the public domain, he could do it there. So he could publish this in Canada.
And then there could just be an underground market for Canadian books.
But they were like they were saying like it's kind of oh, and here's the thing though. That's just when the first book enters the public domain.
Yeah.
Not the rest of them. And if there's story elements
from the other
ones, he has to wait till all those run out.
Yikes.
Well, so, and they're kind of like, we've talked about this before on the podcast about how the U.S. kept pushing back copyright dates.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of bullshit because all this stuff, it's supposed to be like, life plus 70 years or something like that. All this stuff should be in the public domain already.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But Disney and whatnot kind of
worst.
got in there and fiddled with that. Anyway, so yeah, neat.
Neato.
Okay, so last bit of news.
I have the next to the last news. I have a news.
Okay, what's your news?
I also have a news.
What's your news?
Today is Sunday, March 31st. Today is the last day. If you go to Audible, they have a $5 books.
I saw that. I didn't even go look.
There was a Michael J. Sullivan that I saw. The second Rhaenyra book is $5. There's quite a few.
Those Rhaenyra books are really good.
There was like Red Queen, I think, is a book that I was wanting to read.
That's Mark Lawrence.
No.
Yeah, it should be.
Red
No.
Queen?
That's Red.
I don't know. Red Sister, some shit like that.
okay.
Gray Sister. But yeah. So
I didn't even go look. I just
go to Audible.
I just got all my Audible credits back for the year.
Yeah. So today's Sunday. Sale ends today. So go on Audible and get some books.
Neat. Derek, what you got?
My bit of news is not super relevant to just this week or anything like that, but something that I've came across that I had kind of forgotten about. So Patrick Rothfuss is, of course, not, writing Doors of Stone.
Right. I mean, why would he?
But we'll talk about that later at a later date.
Spoiler.
This week.
This week. You'll be hearing more about that on Wednesday.
But one of the things he's been doing is he's writing a graphic novel. And if I'm understanding it correctly, according to his Twitter, it's going to contain characters or themes or a story that is very important to book 3. And he's been referencing it to kind of hint at what it's going to be, and someone in the conversation basically guessed it, and he's all but come out and said that they are right. Okay. And it's the boy who loved the moon in graphic novel form.
Neat.
So I had a theory about these books.
Okay.
And for those who don't know, I love these books, and I refuse to read anybody else's theories about them because I don't want anybody's nonsense to taint my understanding of the book.
You don't want to listen to their patrological lying?
I was thinking about their more like
pathological lying.
patronizingness.
Oh, Patrick.
Anyways, but no, I don't want
There's a
them.
pun there.
And a lot of times people just have terrible, terrible ideas. So I'm just like, I don't want to get out of here with that. So I only have my own theories. But one of my theories, this plays into it. So I'm like, uh-oh.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that off air because, I don't want to taint the airwaves or anybody else's potential appreciation of the story.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm really excited about that. He's looking for a colorist right now.
Okay, cool.
So
Neat.
All right.
Okay,
So
last bit of news.
last bit of news may generate a little conversation. So this one is headline is looking back fondly on dead guys. So fondly stirred up a bit of controversy in the Twitter sphere this week. And as usual, it's much ado about nothing.
Because it's Twitter.
But I think she made a really good point.
yeah, I was way more interested in talking about the point.
So we're going to talk about So here's what she said. So she shared a picture on Twitter of bookshelves at Barnes & Noble.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is what modern fantasy writers are up against. In my local Barnes & Nobles, most authors are lucky to find a copy of their book, super lucky if it's face out. There are 3.5 shelves for Tolkien, 1.5 for Jordan. Here's who we compete against for shelf space. Not each other, but dead guys.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So before you at me about the importance of classics, I love Lord of the Rings too, okay? But 3.5 shelves, so much great modern sci-fi fantasy out there. I found one copy of my World Fantasy Award winning book, one of most of the other Nebula and Hugo nominees, one copy of the 5th season, 18 copies of Lord of the Rings.
No, I think it's fair. I mean, you and I were just at Second and Charles,
Yeah.
and like there was a lot of variety there, but even then, and there were
Second and
Shelves
Charles
and
is
shelves and
Second
shelves.
Charles is weird though. I don't think Second Charles is a good representation because
it's more like a real good thrift store.
well, yeah, because they get the cast-offs from like Barnes & Noble. Like they don't order a lot of new books.
Yeah.
Most of the books that they get is like stuff that didn't sell at Barnes & Noble and winds up there kind of deal. It's kind of weird, or donated or stuff like that.
But even then,
But
there was still like a fairly sizable chunk of Tolkien-y stuff.
Oh, yeah.
and whatnot.
yeah, no, I think she makes a good point. Now people, of course,
Flip their shit.
a lot of people just kind of took the whole like her saying dead guys was like, oh, how dare you insult these paragons of our craft.
How
And I
dare
don't-
you acknowledge the
she-
fact that they've been dead?
Well, she didn't. I don't think she meant it to be insulting. I
Yeah.
think she just meant it to.
They're dead.
They are dead,
Their stuff's not getting any better.
and so it,
dead.
this
They're not working.
and then this kind of spilled over onto Reddit. The fantasy subreddit did a big discussion on it, and they were kind of, she got like some people, she's got some good points. Some folks are like, no capitalism, and then but apparently on /books it was a shit show as for like just people like burned her with pitchforks over there. I didn't go read it, but I was like, basically someone was like, hey, so they're burning Fonda Lee over there, so I figured we could talk about it over here. So
Great.
So I just didn't go over there. I didn't feel like looking, but I think she makes a really good point because I mean I love Lord of the Rings, but yeah, you go to Books A Million, there's a ton of it. I mean, there's an absolute fuck ton of it. And then like I love Glenn Cook. You go to look at Glenn Cook, and they might have the first couple Black Company books. Maybe they very rarely have a Garrett P.I. book. None of his Dread Empire stuff. Like it's, like I love Glenn Cook, and I wish more people would read him. And it's just, I think he's really good, but he gets to love. And again, like if this Barnes & Noble only had one copy of the 5th season, I hope that that's because they just all sold.
Right.
But I mean, that's the first book in the like a trilogy that every book won the Hugo.
Yep.
Like, it's really good. Like, and there's one copy of it, but then people are wasting shelf space on Robert Jordan. I mean, I don't know why you'd even do that at all whatsoever.
Get out of my house. This is over. I have thoughts that I would like to say on this, but I no longer have thoughts. You no longer deserve to be in my
Oh, I
house.
know. They did say that 1.5 shelves of Jordan. That's basically just 2 copies of each book, pretty much.
It's accurate.
Yeah.
But here's what I want to. The thing that I think is most interesting to think about, it's like, and I saw this. I can't remember if this was a thing that she talked about when this all happened, or if this was just an article building off of what she said. But the basic idea was, what do you go to a bookstore for at this point?
New stuff. Gifts.
In my opinion, and this is why I want to talk about it, is because it came up. Like, for me, the reason I go to a bookstore is isn't to buy a book. That's not why I'm going to the bookstore. I go because, like, if I already know what I want, I can just fucking buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I go there when
Honestly,
I have no idea what I want.
Honestly, if I know what I want, 95% of the time, the bookstore doesn't have it.
Exactly.
For real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many books and only so much shelf space.
I've been looking for a particular book for a year, and I'm just going to have to just order it. Because I keep hoping to come across it, and I'm just not.
Anytime I go look over at the fantasy section, I'm not looking for
a
book. I'm looking to see what's new, what's popular,
yeah.
you know?
See, that's my thing, and I think this is kind of the point. I wish I had pulled up the article, because I don't think it was her that made this point. I think this was the article's point. Was basically like, these people, anyone that's going to buy Tolkien or Jordan, like, you go into this place knowing that's what you're there to get. Because they're so big and so famous, you know that's what you're there to get. So, like, having a whole bunch of copies of it makes sense. What doesn't make sense is giving them the face cover treatment.
Yeah.
Everyone knows those books.
Right.
They know what they're looking for. They don't need to be enticed. The things that need the face cover are the things that are new and to be discovered, which is, I think, the best idea. Because when I go into these stores, I'm not, if I want a specific book, I've already bought it.
Right.
Like, I'm not coming to the bookstore looking for something specific, or very rarely am I.
Right.
I'm there because I'm trying to. I want to read something and I don't know what, so I want you to sell me on something. But if you're only showing me the things that I already own or the things that I already know about, the fuck good is that?
Yeah.
Like, give the face cover treatment should be for literally only things that like aren't the big, like,
right.
Sure, like, I understand in some cases, like, if a new Sanderson comes out, you face up that because it hasn't had time to sell 1 billion copies, and he's one of the biggest names in the genre. Makes sense.
Like, this won the Hugo this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's a thing.
Or just, basically that kind of stuff. Because I had never really thought about it, but I really don't go unless I'm looking for something new. And then I get there, and I'm eternally disappointed because I don't even know what to do, because there's so much stuff there that I already know about, and it's in the way. And
So, 2.1, maybe bookstore, like, so I know that there's a sense to, we'll put the books in there by alphabetical order, by author. But is that the best way to do it?
Yes. I don't know where you're going with this,
Well,
but
no,
it's going to be
chronological order.
Well, no,
or...
because like you said, it's like, if you know that you're going in there for, like, how often do you go in there to look for one particular author? Really? I mean, for, like, yes, there are people that do that.
Yeah, and
but, like, if you're just
I have
trying,
done it sometimes.
but it's all, well, I guess it's more like this. All sci-fi and fantasy is lumped together in alphabetical order. And they're not really divided. Like, all right, they do pull out, like, the Star Trek and the Star Wars and the Warhammer books. Those kind of frequently lived on their own. But for the most part, everything else is kind of lumped together. And it can be somewhat overwhelming. Like, you want to find something new, but, it's digging through all this stuff. And then, there's this shelf space. Like,
so you want to, like, divide it up a little more? Well, so that, like, if you like steampunk, here's your kind of
I don't know,
military sci-fi kind of
there
libs
could be a better
here.
way to organize, or maybe just like,
well, schools were doing that, like elementary schools and stuff were dividing them more on.
Well, the Dewey Decimal System does that. It just, it divides a lot of this stuff up. I don't know to exactly what degree.
I don't know much about the Dewey Decimal System, other than that's a thing, and that I struggled to pull the stickers off the side on my books when I go to library sales. But I mean, like, I know that some schools were thinking about changing how they shelve books so that kids could see, well, not just kids, but people could see, you liked this, here are very similar things that live right next door.
Yeah.
Rather than more of the same author.
So, and here was the other point. So, I saw this, people like arguing on Reddit. That's where I saw it. And people were like, oh, well, you know, blah, 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 capitalism this, blah, 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 economics that, blah, 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 blah. And then, like, the best rebuttal, I was like, basically people were making arguments like, well, these are the experts. Let them do what they do. They know what they're doing. If they have...
They're going out of business.
Yeah, that's the exact thing. It's like, really? Barnes & Noble? You're holding them up as the paragon of...
I didn't realize Barnes & Noble was still in business.
I knew... Well, have you ever tried to buy something at Barnes & Noble online?
No.
It's trash. They have the shittiest website.
It's tragic. I've tried.
I once got given a $25 gift card to Barnes & Noble, and I was able to use it to buy 2 used books off their website. It's awful. It's awful. Yeah. So it's like, really, you want to hold up like they have, I guess, like part of it, like Books A Million, you know, like how about you pull all those, like Lord of the Rings, like Harry Potter and shit like that. They just need their own sections in the store.
I was actually when you were talking about the thing earlier,
give
it
its end cap and call it done.
I was like, if you're gonna have entire like shelves just for Tolkien, just call that the Tolkien. Don't call that
put it over there with all the you know, the knickknacks, the Gollum coffee mugs.
Well, see, my thing is
blah, blah, blah,
at this point,
because that's what Books A Million does, like Harry Potter.
Right.
Shit.
My thing at this point is, why is Tolkien even in sci-fi fantasy anymore? It's so classic. It should be with the classics, and then it would not be taking up an entire wall.
Well, one point that some person was making is like, some guy came in and was like, well, just write something as good as, you know, like, he was like, you know, basically he's saying like, fuck Fonda Lee because, you know,
she's not as good as Tolkien.
Well, no, it was basically, he's like, if she you know, her complaint is this, well, she should just write a better book. And it's like, it's not about writing a better book. Things like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter are so ingrained in our culture that it has, even if it didn't have...
Also, don't make me come over this fucking table at you, mysterious guy on the internet.
Yeah.
Because I fucking love that book.
Yeah, no, it's great. But, like, I doubt he'd read the book, honestly, or he wouldn't be saying that. But, no, he may have. Just, but, like, the point, he was like, well, you know, just write a better book. Well, it's like, you can't, like, okay, she can sit there and write people could make the argument that Jade City is a better book than The Hobbit.
Sure.
You could make that argument.
Okay.
I'm not going to. It's apples and oranges in my mind.
But so different.
But someone could make that argument. But the thing is, like, it's so ingrained in our culture that she can't compete against that.
Well, I think that's the thing too, is like, you know, people are going to buy what's available, and if what you're making available is predominantly just Tolkien and fucking Harry Potter
and a few Tolkien other books.
Yikes.
Shut the fuck up.
Yikes. So, I mean, like, if you've got all of this that's going to be available and the only thing is, you know, Lord of the Rings, then people are either not going to buy anything or that's what they're going to pick up because that's all you have available. But if you shrink, you know, the Lord of the Rings stuff down and give other people more room, then they could get money and get exposure and carry their weight on the bookshelf.
My thing about that whole idea is that a lot of the times the reason they have so much space is because they're getting face up treatment.
Yeah.
It's like, well, don't do that for them. Everyone already knows who they are.
Well, and it's also, you know, you face up a hardback. You know, it's like, oh god, damn. The new Feist.
Is it face up right now?
It was a face up.
It should be. It's Feist. But...
It was. But it was face up. But
man, I need to talk about that at some point.
He doesn't need that as much as.
Here's the thing. I would say with him,
I could see it for like a week for like your big names, your, you know, Sanderson or Feist or somebody like that. You're like, hey, cool, whoop-de-doo, we've got this, and then, you know, turn them to their spine when something else happens.
Yeah, see, my thing, especially with him, is it's different with him because this is
his first new series.
His first new series in over 20 years.
Yeah.
Like he is
Yeah.
actually his first new
It is-
series ever.
Yeah, it is a really big
It's
deal.
a huge deal.
But that's the thing also, like,
And he's still alive and he's still working. Sanderson,
Yeah.
I'm going to give less of a thing. He writes a new goddamn book every
Right.
week. It feels
so.
like.
Quick aside. This is what we're going to wrap it up here,
Yeah.
but you will appreciate this. So someone was, spoiler, on Wednesday we're going to be talking about who's the worst offender of taking too long to write books. No, someone actually was like, God, what is wrong with me? I keep finding all these series, like Patrick Rothfuss and Lynch and George R. R. Martin, and I just read Oathbringer by Sanderson, and it's the same thing. I was like, whoa,
Wait a minute.
You cannot put
I just
Brandon
imagine
Sanderson on that list.
Was this on Reddit?
Yeah.
I imagine even Reddit was
It was
just
like
screech to the heart.
It's like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about?
It's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe go read one of his
it wasn't
other.
on Reddit. It was on Goodreads. That's why. Because I was like, it was.
Oh, because you were about to thumb down that shit real quick.
No, he was going to go
I
in there and be
never
like,
thumbed down
read
anything.
one of the other 8 series.
Well,
he's
it's
written.
like, oh, he might take 2 years to get back to the next book in that series. 2 years is fuck all.
No, that's average for a book.
No,
fine.
that's what I'm saying. Like 2 years
Yeah,
is fuck
like, you're
all.
fine.
Yeah, he comes
fine.
out with a book a year, if not more,
Yeah, no.
because he's a crazy man.
All right, so that's this week in the news. Hopefully, I mean, we're just gonna be sick. Me and Derek are sick. If you haven't
I'm not
been able to
sick
tell,
for a long time.
so
I've been washing my Yeti, so I have not been reinfecting myself. Feel real good about that.
Yeah,
You should wash your
So-
water bottle.
yeah, you should.
No, you should wash your water bottle.
I do. I got a new glass one. It's fancy. Anyway,
Fancy.
so hopefully we'll be getting better soon. That'd be great.
I was feeling better until today. I don't know. All of a sudden, I
Man,
don't sound
my
very.
throat's been killing me.
yeah.
But all right. Well, in the coming week, I hope that the glowing green leaves of the tree that is your week, I hope that they gently fall upon you like a soft rain, and that the blessing of the beard will be upon you.
Okay, bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Books, Beards, Booze. Our co-hosts are Bob, Derek, and Tanya. Our producer is Bob. For more information, visit our website, booksbeardsbooze.com. Follow our social media at Tales by Bob. If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate, subscribe, and share. Okay, bye.